All right, welcome back, everyone. In case you forgot, I'm Georgia, and I'm on the product team at Figma.
And I'm still Angel, and I'm on the research team here at Figma.
Oh, thank you, friends. Our next session brings together 3 people from 3 very different time zones who all have one thing in common. They are certified shader boys.
To teach us all about shaders, please help me in welcoming Yasser, Raji, and Piers to the stage.
Hi, I'm Raji. I'm a designer, chaos animal, and lover of art and shaders. I've always loved art, but I think maybe I love making tools for artists and designers even more.
Hey, I'm Piers. I head up engineering for the expressive design area at Figma. On this slide, it says, hey, I'm Piers XYZ, because I forgot to fill in my blurb. But yeah, that's me.
Cool. I'm Yasser. I'm a software engineering manager here at Figma. INFJ. Sometimes I DJ for fun. I love house music. And occasionally I nerd study myself into some work that I'm not part of, and usually it's with Raji.
Yeah. INFJ, it's more like INDJ, right?
Oh,
Get it?
on something.
Okay, I'm gonna move. Yes, I am a dad. That was a dad joke. And together, we're known as the Shader Boys, and at least that's what we call any shader-pilled folks at Figma.
Sweet. We wanted a native implementation of shaders in Figma for a long time. And we're so excited to get this feature out to you today. This is a really exciting launch for us 3 and the entire team that's worked on this. And I hope you're as excited as we are. Behind me is the first demo we teased internally while building shaders. A Figma motion clip with a 3D ribbon shader effect. It was pretty hype, I have to say.
It was, and I think for real, this is when we realized like the thing we were building was what we wanted it to be. When Yasser and Piers made this, it blew my mind. It's actually a physically rendered 3D ribbon shader effect, passing a motion clip through it with an additional Figma motion clip for the config logo playing behind it. In totality, it's 2 motion clips and a shader effect.
Expression in Figma has come up time and time again. I'll take you back a few years prior to Figma Drop. Our community had been asking about progressive blur as it was a core rendering primitive in iOS. And I can't tell you how many workarounds I found that use stacked blurs with clip masks.
And the community examples of progressive blur were really cool, but super slow, super laggy.
Surprisingly though, this would be the start of a friendship I didn't expect. I didn't know Raji King back then, but I'd come to learn real soon that this dude is on a mission for design, for all of you. If Raji was the brains to design, I was going to end up becoming his brawn.
Yeah, while we both had these dreams of making sick expressive tooling in Figma, the combination of us both was a magic duo.
But let's dial it back a bit before Raji and I became chums. A few of us, I think we call them nerds, or Raji calls me a nerd, tried building out progressive blur. A bit of math, some engineers geeking out in a room, and we made decent headway. It wasn't perfect, and just a side rant, have you tried implementing a raster effect in a vector graphics, pixel-perfect, tile-based, infinite zoom, and infinite canvas design tool? For your sanity, I hope not. But it did spark something in us, and I think it was the start of something big for us.
Yeah, I love it when Yasser speaks nerd. But at the time, I was an advocate. I was on the advocate team. And so all I kept thinking was, yo, the community really wants progressive blur. How hard could it be? Take a blur, slap a progressive on it. But I love that Yas and I both wanted better tools from different sides of the company.
If only it was that easy. But we did get a lucky break. We were both asked to work on a special project, later known as Figma Drop. I was bored from rendering, and Raji from designer advocacy.
And we wanted to push beyond clean rectangles and shapes. I was tired of looking at these rectangles. And we wanted to push them to the expressive, and our mission was to enable brand designers, artists, and graphic gurus.
Raji and I geeked out on effects and built them together during this time. Some of you might use them in Figma today. Progressive blur, noise, texture. It was at that time I started realizing that the subject within design matters just as much as the design itself. If design was the body, expression was the soul.
Yeah, Yas up here getting deep, bro. Okay,
Okay,
calm down,
empath.
it's just
Okay,
design.
yeah, I just screw off.
But there wasn't enough time to build all of the effects that we wanted you to have. Yas and I were already working on chromatic aberration and dither. And you have to know at this time, this is when dithering kind of like hit and everyone was like, whoa, dither. And now dither's dead, right? Because everyone's used it. But we quickly realized that we couldn't just keep making one-off effects.
So for Raji and I, this was the start of something bigger. Instead of trying to predict the next effect you wanted, we wanted to give you the power to make your own. It so happens that there was another group of Figmates also interested in this, namely those from Modify that had recently been acquired by Figma.
So people had been working on trying to bring shaders to Figma for a while. And last August, we had another big push at trying to make it happen. Every year, Figma has a whole company hack event that we call Maker Week. And everyone across the company works on whatever they're passionate about, and some amazing things get built. So at Maker Week last August, a bunch of the team built a concept called shader layers, which placed shaders directly into the layers panel. I joined Figma for Modify last year, and our team had a lot of learnings about how to best apply shaders in the context of a design tool. And we wanted to try those ideas in Figma. And it was super cool to see folks from Figma and the Modify teams come together and build this. And it generated a lot of excitement. But we also kind of had our hands full building motion. So after Maker Week, shaders kind of went back on the back burner for a while.
As Piers alluded to, shader layers were the early inklings that suggested we wanted to move forward with shaders as a company priority. And so Raji and I started exploring shaders as a grassroots effort last fall. And if I had to be blunt about it, we didn't have that much success. So our story takes us to this year with the launch of WebGPU at Figma by Luke and Alex, also on the rendering team. With this, we realized we could make use of secure WebGPU intra-layer render pipelines.
Yeah, remember when Yasser told me, we should call these things secure WebGPU intra-layer render pipelines. I'll bet y'all wanted us to call them that. I was like, dude, let's just call them shaders.
So we called them shaders, which is incorrect, but that's okay. I'm an engineer, so naming is not my strong suit, but we did cook with this for a while. And after a few months of Raji and I part-timing this thing, we decided it was time to share it with others and really push it forward. And so this takes us to March of this year. After some back and forth between Raji and I, Raji suggested we just message Dylan. And so yes, just message Dylan. And I was like, wait, what? And yeah, I found out you could just cold message your CEO because free will. And so that's what we did. Yeah, so Raji messaged Dylan, and luckily for us, Dylan responded from the plane. And if you look a bit closer at the slides with me, he even called him Dilly. Dilly. I didn't even know that was Dylan's nickname.
Yeah, well, you know, I nickname everyone in my head, and sometimes it just comes out.
Well, anyways, so this is when RPM Georgia, nicknamed Georgie from the keynote, starts to come into the picture, helping us shape up the user story. We pitched both generative plugins, which Avery, Jason, and Georgia just covered, and shaders. And you know, sometimes you don't know what you need until it's there in front of you, and you're like, well, we really needed that, and that was Georgia to us. I've attached a little sample from that meeting with Dylan, Yuki, Chris, and on the right is a recreation of a progressive blur using our generated shader effect system. We all agreed we wanted generated plugins and shaders in Figma, and so we went off running with, and I quote, a fuck yeah from Dylan. Sorry. I'm Canadian. Shortly after this, Piers caught wind of our work and brought his incredible artistic and artisanal touch to our project.
And so we just started building, and we didn't have a lot of time. If you'd noticed from the previous screenshot, our pitch for shaders was mid-March. So this really came together last minute, but this team has been a dream for me, and the folks rallied with us, and they contributed more than I can thank them for.
Click again. And here's some of what they built. It didn't matter who you were, HR, C-suite, marketing, design, engineer, or intern. We welcomed all to join us in shaping Figma's future of boundless expression. It seemed like every day I was picking my jaw off the ground. You can make that, in Figma, and I hope your jaw will also drop on the ground again and again after today. And so we did this because we owe it to you. We built this out of passion, grit, and belief that designers wanted more powerful ways to express themselves. We hear you and want you to make Figma your one-stop shop for design and expression.
We know that you need ways to break out of clean vectors and bring more texture and breadth to your work. And we think that having the combination of both shaders and motion in Figma together is just a killer combo.
And so I also hope that you're delighted with shaders. Let's dive in. Got a few sick demos for you today. Let's go.
See?
All right. So instead of at the keynote where I just tried to show some mind-blowing things, I think it's also a good thing to get grounded because there's a lot of new UI here, trying to understand how the interface works and where things are. Either that or you're already pros. But let's get started at the beginning. Let's just try to kick off another one of those sort of like effect generations. Now, we can do anything. Let me get a show of hands. Like, do we want to do an image-based one where we attach an image or just YOLO it and see what happens on stage? YOLO! I promise you this is not scripted. This was not part of my script. Okay. Let's see here. I'm just gonna come to the agent and I'm gonna, I wanna do something to maybe some of these images here. And I'm gonna say, give me let's say like a threshold pixelization effect. I just kind of want to reduce the colors for this thing. I'm gonna misspell it and everything, but let's see. And we're just gonna kick it off. I might come back to this, but I imagine this is the way that you'll probably try to experience this. It's like, just put something in and see what it says. So I'm gonna do this, and I'll just put shader effect just to make sure, but it should probably be fine. And we're gonna kick that off and we're gonna see what happens next. But while we're waiting for this, let's kind of talk about the new areas in the UI. We have the tools area, and we probably haven't gone over this very much, but you're gonna see a lot of different things in here. And if I go to all, you're gonna see suggestions, things like that. But we have a filter here, and we can go down, you'll see plugin, shader effect, shader fill, so you can pick there. So we could choose those to filter down. The other thing that's worth noting, if you wanna look at all the new Figma ones that we gave you more as a template, and I call them templates because I think they're really good, but I also think the ones you're gonna make are a little bit more bespoke for you. But if you choose Figma, you'll be able to filter and see all of the little effects here, and they're super fun. And you'll also be able to see the fills as well here. So that's a little bit of a primer on the tools area. If you ever want to from the tools, you can click this create button and you can create a shader effect or shader fill. You don't have to go necessarily over to the agent. All right, let's check the agent. Let's see if it's done anything for us. Oh, it's asked us a question. Sure, I want a pixel size. I want this, I want this. This is pretty much what I do is I just go all, give it.
Everything, nice.
All right, let's talk about sort of the right hand, our properties panel. In our properties panel, your shader fills are gonna show up here. So if you're gonna add a new shader fill, this is a little different than the effects. You're gonna see this little tab right over here. So you've got all these fill types, boom, shader fill. And you can load in, apparently I was working with iridescent blob. Sounds good. So fills work just like fills work in Figma all the time. And what this really means is, if I zoom in here, let's say I put in a piece of text. I saw somebody online asking today, does it work on text? It's a fill. It works on anything you would put a fill in. So if I take this, and I wanna make sure that I don't move too quickly here. This is Nebula. I am clicking to the left of it, and I'm hitting Command C. I am copying that fill out because I want that exact fill. I could also apply it from over in the tools area if I'd like. And you can see now that we've got Nebula. All right, okay, keep it going. But yeah, I can change some of these colors here and maybe lighten this up. But you can see here that Nebula is working. So just keep that in mind. That means it works on a stroke. You can put shaders on a brush stroke. There's lots of crazy things you can do. All right, let's see what this effect looks like. Boom, we're gonna apply it, and not bad. This is actually kind of what I was thinking. It's a pixelization effect. It's got a threshold here, which allows me to sort of map, Piers would probably know, luma values?
Let's go with Luma.
Luma, the brightness of the image here. And the cool thing is, if I wanted to take this effect and put it on baby Yas, right here, I can do this as well. And so look, I can sort of bring this in. I think that's pretty fun. It's super playful. Okay, now I'm not sure exactly how this might work, but I want to talk to you about on-canvas handles. It's probably one of the coolest parts of effects. If I take this here and I click edit with agent, I can say edit this thing. So I like it, but I kind of want to like change it up a bit. So I'm going to say, give me a, I'm going to say a point and radius canvas handle to control the area of I'm not going to type it all, pixelation. We are truly doing this live. But it's so important to know how to use those. And speaking of those, we're going to hop right on over here, and I'm just going to walk you through those really quick. So within a shader effect, you're going to get a few different things available to you. You can ask for sliders, just a number, a gradient, a select, so you could get different types and styles of things, switches to kind of switch, turn things on, turn things off, or colors that you can pass in. But the real fun ones are canvas controls. And you can usually ask for them like, give me a point, line point, give me a point, angle, radius. Probably should make the names a little bit more ergonomic, but here they are. And then we have this position, angle, radius. Oops. All right. All right, let's walk through a few of these, and then we'll see if our iteration worked. But I did want to talk about almost all of these having on-canvas handles. This is one of my favorite ones. This is called Pixel Stretch, and if I open it, you'll actually see that I can actually stretch the pixels and rotate them around. I mean, dig into these. They are so cool. And I have set up here a little gallery where we can just take 4 different subjects, and I'm just gonna turn these on and off. Here's GUI merge. It has a little invert thing, so we can actually test out how that works. This one's fun, chromatic metal, and we can see here, coming in, we can change things like the depth of it, the RGB split, so we can chrome out that logo, be cool like all the designer kids. Lens distort, this was the one I showed at the keynote. Yep, obsessed. But this one, I want to kind of zoom out a little bit because it's so fun. You can see this effect working here. Dither, made by me, is, it's like an old school 8-bit pixelization that you can see the way it works on this subject, and there's so much more. We have Pixelate. Pixelate does exactly what you think, but it's so much more powerful. You can triangulate Pixelate. Anyways, I think that's enough for me. We'll check out our effect, and then I'm gonna hand it off to Piers. Let's see if we can see what we got. We got exactly what we wanted. We have an on-canvas handle. Woo. All right, and off to Piers, who is going to blow your mind.
All right. Okay, so I've been having a hell of a lot of fun building things with shaders. And I'm going to take you through a couple of teardowns of these 2 designs. Let's just get this playing. Jump into motion mode and hit play. I'm going to take you through these 2 designs which take shaders and they apply them to some more brand design style use cases. We don't have a huge amount of time, so I am going to speed run a little bit. I hope that's okay. Sorry if it goes a bit fast. We will be giving out the file afterwards, so you can take time to go through it in detail. So we're going to jump into this example on the left first. So just pan over, and just to kind of explain what's going on here. So I'll scrub the timeline left and right, and you can see this is the same sticker peel or like corner peel effect that Roger had in his keynote talk earlier, where we were peeling back the boarding pass. But it's being applied more to kind of a like brand visual design use case. And if I zoom in, you'll see that as the sticker peel kind of peels back, we also have this kind of shape effect on top that's like following the peeling effect as it peels. So we're going to look at how that's done. So this is a series of layers or like effects stacked on top of each other. And that's kind of one of the main things that I want to get across is that by stacking and recombining effects, you can achieve some really interesting and surprising outcomes. So at the base, it's just a text layer. So if I just jump in and edit the text here, everything just updates. I can now run my motion and everything's just flowed straight through. I take that text component and apply this peel effect on top of it. And again, I've wrapped that in a component. So that's being used, let's just jump out of motion mode. That's being used throughout all of the rest of the sequence. So if I jump into that effect and grab hold of the gizmo, this is just so much fun. Like you can grab that, move it around, and you'll see it updating in all of the components that are downstream. I could literally just sit and do this all day. Like, it's so nice. Anyway, so then we take that peel effect and we put this shapes mosaic effect on top, which we looked at a moment ago when we were zoomed in. So just to explain that part. This is just a simple explainer, which takes that mosaic effect and puts it on top of just a gray circle. So a gray in the middle and then like white towards the outside. And what the effect basically does is it takes the brightness values of the input and maps different brightness values to different shapes and different colors. So if I grab that shape and move it around, you can see the overlaid shapes following. Or if I like zoom in and out, you can see them following the input. So if you animate the input, you get that same effect applying on top of your animated content. So that goes on top of the sticker peeling thing. And then combining all of that together, we get this final result. And I've just, in order to kind of make things gel a little bit, I've just thrown an additional effect on top called stipple, which is just kind of pulling everything together. If I just turn this on and off, you'll see what I mean. And that's basically, it's kind of like an organic dither, just puts little dots all over the image based on the brightness. Okay, need to go through the next bit even faster, so let's speed up. So this one, the idea of this is to show how by stacking different effects on top of a base input, you can achieve completely different expressions of like a core idea. So we start with just the Figma logo, and then we apply that lens distortion effect that you've seen us applying in like literally everything. I think everyone's just hooked on this one. So that's just same lens distortion that Roger showed you a moment ago. But then we've animated the center point of the effect in order to just have it oscillate from side to side. Then taken that and made 3 copies, and on each one we've applied, different effects on top. So this one on the left applies like a reso. Someone on the brand team threw this together with Agent. I think they called it Reso Pro, just to make it kind of sound more impressive. I'm not sure if it's any different from just regular Reso. But if I pause this, you can see it has really nice controls like misregistration, so I can dial that right down or dial it up. Or I can switch to like lines and give it like a really kind of organic printed feel. And that's just all the heavy lifting is being done by that effect on top of that base input. Then, okay, it needs to accelerate even more. This middle one takes the same shapes mosaic effect that we had a moment ago and applies it on top of that input. Again, just gives it a different feel. And then finally, this one doesn't actually apply any more effects. What it does is it takes that same component and offsets it in time. So it duplicates it and offsets it in time. So this is without the time offset. If I drag this, I get that time offset. And then if I play it, now I've got this kind of like seesawing blended version. And the top copy, okay. The top copy is set to multiply, but if we set it to something like overlay, we get a different effect. Or if we set it to like difference, we get a different effect. And one thing I wanted to really encourage is like, get to this kind of a stage and then just like play jazz. So you can jump in and grab effects from other parts of your scene. Maybe let's grab this Luma mosaic, and I'll jump in and drop it in on top of this copy. Now I've got something completely different, but also really cool. let's jump in and grab the reso, and I'll just drop that on top as well. And now I've got like something really wild. And let's maybe shift this back to noise, dial the noise up a bit, and maybe jump in and just dial up the size of those shapes. You get some really surprising and like just delightful outcomes. And you really end up in locations that you would never have predicted getting to before you start playing. All right.
Sweet. I'm going to be demoing now on this laptop. And we're going to come over here.
Nice.
Cool. So Piers just showed you some incredible things, as did Raji. And I'm sure a lot of you are asking, well, you know, these are incredible, but how do I get this crazy stuff out of Figma? And so that is what I'm going to help you with today. So I'm going to be showing you a few things today. We're going to be working on a website today. So I have my Figma design open. And there's 3 different shader fills across this design. We're going to investigate each one. This demo does make use of some MCP and interactive shader features that are not available yet, but we will release them. They're coming soon. Also, I'm going to be using the motion mode here. And when we use motion, any time varying shader, such as the one that you see right now on screen, matches its playhead to the motion clip itself. Just a reminder. Cool. So for clarity, all standard shaders are available today. So let's jump into the first shader effect that we have today. And I'll go over, and over here I have concentric patterns. Let's see, oh, yeah. I'm gonna show you it with toggled off and toggled on. So I'm really enjoying the green hue here and this kind of hypnotic Zen effect. It makes sense that we'd want something like this on the hero banner, kind of just like attracts a bit more to the eye. So we'll definitely want this in the design. Let's scroll down to the second effect that I have here. And you can see over here on this image, I have an interactive mouse effect. So this is pretty fun. I'm loving it. It's called fluid warp lines over here, and there's a bunch of different parameters I could control as well. And before we continue, I want to talk a little bit about the technicals behind shaders themselves. So if I was to go into the motion state, and this is no longer animating and responding, I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to show you that this begins to pixelate. So the first thing is that these are raster effects as they were built. So what this means is that on your monitor, these will render at the frame size or the layer size itself. So it doesn't support infinite zoom. Another thing that we want to cover about the technicals behind it is if you were to make a layer very small, because we render it at the frame size, we give you an indicator to kind of tell you that this is going to be rendered with a very low resolution. So once I start zooming in, you can see pixels and this begins to pixelate. We also want to show you that shaders render at a maximum size as well. So specifically 2048. So if I have this 3000 by 3000 frame, what's going to end up happening is my texture is going to basically stretch to fit the shape. Generally speaking, hopefully you won't hit these limits, but these are just things to keep in mind as you start to use shaders more and more in your day-to-day. Cool. Let's jump back to the design, and we're going to go to the last shader fill here. So over here, I have a mesh gradient. I'll go back to design mode. And this makes sense. I'll toggle it on and off. And you can kind of see that this is the about the artist page. So we kind of do want this to pop out a little bit. So I can jump into mesh gradient. Over here, I have canvas controls here as well to control my mesh gradient. So I can change the colors here. We have a native color picker. So for example, these are called color points. And I could drag this, and it's going to change the color. Cool. Let's go and undo those. Sweet. So I really like this design. I think it's ready to go. Let's actually implement this now. So I'm going to go hop over to MCP, and I'm going to punch in this command over here. Give me a shader fill code for this design. I give the link that you can grab from dev mode. Give me all the code in full, both the raw code, but also it from get design context. And I'm going to kick that off. And while that's running on the side, I'm going to show you, I had run this earlier, and I'm going to show you the result that we'll get back. So the first thing that we're going to get back is from the get design context, we're going to get a custom effect wrapper. And this is how you basically use it in HTML. This is going to tell you a few things. It's going to give you the shaders. It'll give you the setup function, the render function, and all of the parameters. So these parameters map specifically, the one I was implementing is this concentric patterns here. And we can take a look, for example, like ring count here is going to match up to the ring count on the design itself. And so you'll be able to directly implement this in your HTML. It includes a runtime too. Let's look at the raw shader fill source code as well. So over here, this is all the raw code. Your code is your own. You're free to get it whenever you'd like. I'll walk through what this looks like. The first thing that we see is a setup function. This is a one-time invocation that sets up both the Wiggle, so we can actually run our web GPU. It also sets up different states that we need. So like different buffers are kind of being instantiated here. The next thing you'll see is a render function, and this render function gets invoked per frame. If this is a bunch of nerd stuff, you also don't have to hopefully worry about it too much. Hopefully the LLM just handles it for you. But this is what's gonna get invoked per frame. And within this contains all the core logic on how to actually paint the canvas. So I'll skip over a lot of it, but over here you'll see we pass in a bunch of uniforms, we have a buffer, and this is directly what renders the vertex fragment shader. The last thing you'll see is the define properties array. And this describes to Figma what UI to show you. So over here we have, for example, the dropdown for what shape, and we can see that here it has 3 different options: circle, square, and triangle, and that maps directly. Cool. So kind of looking at this, we can now actually use this in a real design. And I went ahead and I did this exact exercise that one would do, and I actually made this using exactly my LLM and MCP, and this is what we have: the quiet spectrum and a VOS. I have concentric patterns here. If I scroll down, I will also have the mouse effect as well. And thank you. And finally, the mesh gradient too. So with that, we'll jump back to the slides. Hopefully that helps.
Awesome.
Sweet. Cool. So shaders, how do they work? They're like magnets. No, I'm kidding. Shaders, let's forget the math for a second. Shaders are basically the magic in the machine here. They run straight on your GPU as a custom pipeline, giving you total control over how you want your pixels colored. And since they're built for parallel processing, they're highly efficient at doing a massive amount of work all at once. Ultimately, they are the secret sauce behind everything that looks good on screen. Without shaders, our digital world would be flat and lifeless. They're the reason we have dynamic lighting, realistic shadows, and mind-bending visual effects that make modern graphics feel real. So when we set out to build this and shaders, our main goal was to do all of you right. We spent a lot of time thinking about how to get shaders into your hands in a way that both feels immensely powerful, but also deeply responsible. We needed it to be blazing fast, entirely secure, and flexible enough to handle your wildest ideas. And hopefully today we hit all 3 of those. Most importantly, it had to be fully exportable, because at the end of the day, your code is yours to take. And so thank you deeply, thank you deeply for pushing us to do you right. We hope you'll enjoy shaders as much as we do. And if you want a bit of inspo, you can take a look at our teaser site, shaders.figma.com. This was also supposed to be animating. This was like a shader fill, but I think it's not rolled out to whatever computer this is. But thank you so much.
Thank you.